This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 21, and it reads, "For behold, the Lord Yahweh cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain."
Say, can you see by the blood in the streets that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child, whose blood built this land with sweat and their hands. But you'll die in this place, and your memory reigns. Oh, say, does this truth hold any weight? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slave.
All right, shalom, shalom, yashala. Peace be unto the nation of Israel, whom are the modern day so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and speckled bird Israelites, otherwise known as the Israelite foreigners, scattered across the four corners of earth, including within America, Babylon the Great, and we are the Most High Yahweh's chosen people of the nation of Israel. So without further ado, as always, just want to give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is the God of the living, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach Havashai Baruch Wadash, meaning our praise to the Heavenly Father Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten and anointed Son Yahushai, and the Holy Spirit, who is our strength and our Redeemer, and our light and our salvation. I also want to go ahead and utter in the Paleo or ancient Hebrew, Mashana Kabawadim Lahasuk Shal Galabar Rekab, meaning double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the true shepherds of Israel, along with the like-minded Sequani while occupying across the four corners of the earth, also pushing the sound doctrine of faith, truth, and sincerity. And shalom, honor, salutations to Bayath, Shadawadah, the house of David, representing 144,000 elect governing body, the house of David, along with the rest of the one-third elect men, women, and children of Israel scattered across the four corners, especially within the land of the mainland of our captivity, the place of drawing waters, which is America, Babylon the Great. All right. And this is fellow servant Malak Rayab, she's back at it again with another epistle through the spirit of prophecy, being a testimony of our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Yahushai, who in the masses of the world ignorantly refers to Jesus Christ. All right. And this is just a video influenced by, the vibration of the song that or the remix, shall I say, that the well-known, Jake singer, Jill Scott, was singing to mock Esau Edom's national anthem and to further expose the secular history of the oppression, affliction of so-called colored people, okay, mainly of the nation of Israel, okay, of the southern and northern kingdom. Now, she's more so singing about the oppression, affliction of the southern kingdom, but we are the southern and northern kingdom are in this case the so-called Negroes and indigenous peoples are of the respective uh, two kingdoms. Okay, in this order: southern kingdom, so-called blacks, and indigenous kingdom, so-called indigenous, that that were pressed together, like it says in Jeremiah 15:33. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and you can see here, you know, what these people are saying, especially these Edomites, like this damn devil here is Edomite. He said that this abomination. See, this is what this see. This is a further uh, example of Proverbs 29 and 26 or 27, where it speaks about Proverbs 29:27 how the righteous are an abomination to the wicked, and the wicked abomination to the righteous. So us speaking out against the tyranny of the ancestors of these damn Edomite devils is an abomination to them. So he said this abomination against the national anthem should result in immediate revoking of citizenship. If you don't love this country, leave. And that's what this brother said. Woods. He responded by saying, like your ancestors did when they fled to Europe to come to my country, a country built by blood, by a foundation of Black American ancestors, the only non-immigrant group here, which he's going off on that. I understand where he's coming from, but the so-called indigenous are also a so-called non-immigrant group of people here because this land mainly belonged to them first before the so-called Negroes of the Southern Kingdom were brought over here. Okay, um, from the 15th century to the 19th century. All right, in this case, between the 15th century and the um, 17th century, to simultaneously serve slavery with the so-called indigenous, man, which I'm about to further reveal in some secular history, filtered to biblical prophecy, because we're in the time of the great revelation of the nation of Israel, okay, by way of the secular history of our oppression. Okay, like it says in Judith, the ninth chapter, the Heavenly Father Yahweh is a God of the afflicted, man. Okay, the afflicted and oppressed people. Okay, prophesied in Isaiah the 61st chapter and similar precepts that were intended to receive this word of healing, man. Okay, like it says in Malachi 4:2. Okay, by calling on the name of Yahweh by Shem Shai, only given to the nation of Israel, we will receive healing in our wings because we are the main people, the demographic of people that that needs healing by way of the generation of curses, okay, captivity, oppression, affliction that we've been suffering, prophesied within the curses of Israel in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. So this brother Woods went on to say, if you can't handle the truth, then you should leave. Khan, you devil should go back to your country. But then again, you don't have a country because you're the vagabond the scriptures speak about, man. Because you devils are the true culture vultures, man. You're leeches, okay? You see, so prior to the Caucasus Mountains that our forefathers in the Dark Ages chased you devils into between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea and in the Caucasus Mountains, you devils were dwelling in the caves going back to Mount Seir, okay, all right, around Jordan, okay, around that holy land. So, but prior to that, you didn't really have you didn't have a dwelling place, man, because because you're not an Israelite, okay, and that holy land doesn't belong to you devils. Neither does America belong to you devils, the great Babylon the Great, Babylon the Great whore, rather, the virgin daughter of Babylon, otherwise known. And you stole this land, prophesied in the second Ezra, the 13th chapter, and Micah, the second chapter, and similar precepts, because you were the true vagabond. You were the true migrant, like that lesson I did. You so-called white people, Edomites, are the true migrants, man. Okay? So there's a lot of controversy, surrounding this national anthem remix by Jill Scott, as you can see here. I'm saying, by these people, mainly these Edomites, because truth is stranger than fiction, man, and this truth is making these devils uncomfortable. Okay, so see, and this lost soul said, how is she oppressed when she's rich? Well, this is a carnal statement, because what does it say in St. Mark 8:36? What profits that man if he shall lose the world and he shall gain the world rather and lose his soul? See, look at this lost soul. the national anthem was not about people who were considered three-fifths of the people. Referring to the three-fifths clause where Esau referred to so-called and brown brown people, okay, blacks and indigenous people, as three-fifths of a human being. Now let's go ahead let's go ahead and confound the statement by this damn reprobate here with some secular history, because unlike these people, we actually study because we're commanded to do that to further prove all things. So this is the further revelation of the true meaning of the whole intention of the national anthem by this damn devil Edomite attorney slash slave master Francis Scott Key, who wrote this poem that became the song's lyrics of the American national anthem. Okay, back in the early 19th century, on September 14th of 1814, after witnessing the British bombardment of Fort McHenry in Baltimore during the poorly named War of 1812, The Intercept recently noted Key's little-known third stanza include these lines, and when this is of the third missing verse from the national anthem that Esau conveniently removed from the national anthem to further conceal his perpetual hatred towards the descendants of Jacob, prophesied in Amos chapter 1, verse 11. So it says, no refuge. I'm going to highlight this here to further confound that reprobate on Twitter, suggesting that the national anthem was not to speak against the slaves, okay, our people. So it says, no refuge could save the hireling and slave. Now he's actually referring to the British, okay. He's referring to our people seeking refuge to the British, okay, in exchange for broken promises by Esau Edom, including military, support, okay, and freedom. Okay, our ancestors agreed to fight on the British side of this war against America. So this is Francis. This is of the frustrations of Francis Scott Key against the British. Okay, geared towards our people. So he said, no refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. See, so in other words, nothing can save you niggas from being destroyed, even our British counterparts, because Britain is the mother of America, Babylon the Great. That's why the book of Psalms speaks about how the sins of thy mother shall be blotted out. Because the British gave you Edomites in America liberty to enslave us, man. But yet they essentially had you in slavery, taxing you through the on behalf of the 13 colonies rather. You see? So you devils are divided, man. Egyptian against Egyptian in Isaiah the 19th chapter. So meaning what? Bondmen against bondmen. Anyway, it says here, no refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave, or the land of the free and the home of the brave. See? So he's saying, listen, the American flag is gonna wave to further push our intentions, regardless of what you British are doing, to use these Negroes against us. And they took so Esau conveniently removed this third missing verse out of the Star Spangled Banner, but like how Shai said in St. Luke the 12th chapter, everything done in the dark shall come to the light, roughly paraphrasing, man. Because you devils will be revealed, okay, for the global terrorists that you are. Okay. So I'm going to bring out this next precept in Nahum chapter 3, verse 1. And it reads, woe to the bloody city, it is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. Who's the prey? Yasha Allah, the nation of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, Israelite foreigners. Okay, because you so-called you Israelite foreigners were also slaves. Like that's why they called the Southern Italians the niggers of Europe when they were in slavery. And then Esau tries to twist that history to make it seem like so-called white people, Edomites, were in slavery. No, those were our people that look like Edomites. See, all this information is coming out, man, and that's why you devils are looking to silence the prophets through these damage control tactics, like censoring our content, shadow banning our content, which are epistles of prophecy, and righteous instruction of the holy book, man. Percent of Baruch, the 4th chapter, Isaiah 34:16, and so forth, to further control the narrative, okay, in this information war, but in the spiritual war of good versus evil. Because you devils are the epitome of evil, man. And that's how America was established. Babylon the Great, the bloody city. Now, in the context of prophecy, this time about Nineveh, it's the capital of Assyria, which is another spiritual alias for America. Because the scriptures, and oftentimes, have multiple meanings, or in most cases, double meanings. Okay, so this also can pertain to America. Okay, which is full of lies and robbery, the bloody city, man. Nahum 3:2 says the noise of a whip. Okay, you devils are whipping us in slavery with a bull whip, just like you did Yahushua. That's not a coincidence, man. The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. Okay, going into your chariots, man. Like in slavery, you devils were on, you devils were, you devils had your form of police, which were the slave patrols back then, who were on horses, rattling wheels on these, within the chariots of these horses, on these prancing horses. See? So this is Habakkuk 2:12. All right, and it reads, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. Okay? Woe to him, meaning war to him, that buildeth a town with blood and established a city by iniquity. So Jill Scott wasn't wrong with what she was saying, but truth makes you devils, you Edomites, you self-proclaimed white people, uncomfortable, and as it should be, because you made us uncomfortable. Okay, afflicting our flesh, torturing us in slavery, in chattel slavery. Then when the damn devil, Abraham Lincoln, composed a Emancipation Proclamation into law in the 19th century, 1865. Just a year later, okay, Esau replaced chattel slavery with slave labor. Okay, another form of slavery masqueraded under slave labor, and that's why Isaiah 42 verse 22 to 24 says what it says, because history repeats itself, and that's why it's not a coincidence that the prison industrial complex is full of these statistics of so-called blacks and indigenous people, so-called blacks and Latinos specifically, because this system was established to shed the blood of the children of Israel, so-called blacks and indigenous people, and to profit off of our people through captivity and witchcraft. Okay, so this land is not the land. Just like Joe Scott was saying, it's not the land of the free and the home of the brave, but rather what? The land of the free and the home of the slaves. For the prophesied in Baruch 3:8, and all this information is coming out, man. Okay. So this is Jeremiah 15:33. I'll go ahead and pull up an image in a second. Okay. Jeremiah 15:33. All right. Go ahead and get this on deck. All right, Salakia. All right. Salakia. So this is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. And it reads, thus said the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the children of Yasha'Allah and the children of Yahweh, Judah, were pressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Esau refused to let the children of Israel go. In the context of prophecy, the children of Israel here referring to the northern kingdom, so-called indigenous, and the children of Judah represents the southern kingdom, okay, so-called blacks. And here's a quick, image to further illustrate, the scripture here, okay. image, right, that came up. Yep, right here. This is a very infamous sign here, or image. All right, Esau is trying to block me from seeing it. See, it's fucking Satan, man. I'm clicking on the image, but they're not allowing me to see it. Okay, I'll just looking to enlarge it. But you and a few Aquats can see this image. So you can see here is an image of a so-called Negro and the image of a so-called Indian, so respectively from the tribes of Judah and Gad, which represents that symbolizes the simultaneous captivity that Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, the devil the Bible speaks of, inflicted on these two kingdoms. Okay, the southern kingdom, okay, the so-called black man here represents, and the northern kingdom, the so-called Native American Indian represents. Through this image where the so-called black man of Judah is saying it hurts, as in the affliction, oppression from Esau, Edom's slavery. Okay, including the wounds of the bullwhip, as you can see here. Okay, the wounds on our people, and then the Gadite, okay, says I know. So-called Native American Indian from the tribe of Gad says I know, meaning I relate to your pain, and this is why in Florida, the so-called Seminole Indians from the tribe of Reuben welcomed the tribe of Judah in to mate with the Seminole Indian peoples, including the women, because they understood that we were the same people with the same struggle. So, it says here, Jeremiah 15:33, the children of Israel and Judah were pressed together. And this is what this image further represents, man. Okay, see if I can get a close up. All right, fucking Esau's a bitch, man. Okay. Let me see if there's another way I can pull it up. Yeah, you know what? But I mean, you get the gist of what I'm going into, man. You see, because you saw the image. See, and I wanted to enlarge it more, but obviously you can see Esau's being a fucking bitch that he is, and it is what it is, man. And you saw the image. And these are posts from Great Millstone. Okay. Do the images, certain images that are posted on TikTok, and it looks like Esau must have removed the image, but it is what it is, man. The point has been made, and to further expound on that, this is on EH.net. It says the Indian slave trade, the rise of the English Empire in the American South, from 1670 to 17th century to 1717 of the 18th century. And then, so it goes into the simultaneous secular history of slavery of the so-called blacks and indigenous. It says it comes as no surprise to state that slavery was a crucial part of the economy of the southeastern colonies of British North America. As historians and economists have long recognized, enslavement of Africans imported from Africa or the West Indies was crucial for the development of plantation agriculture in the region. All right. Like it says in scripture, these devils were in Joel the third chapter specifically. They were exchanging us for goods, like flagons of wine and so forth, through these slave auctions. So jumping down to the point, dealing with the Northern Kingdom, it says here, Alan Gallay carefully separates, which Alan Gallay's authored this book, The Indian Slave Trade, carefully separates the number of slaves from various places or indigenous nations and estimates that from 1670 to 1715, there were between 24,000 and 51,000 natives. Let me just highlight this here. All right. The most important numbers appear in a single table. Here, Alan Gallay carefully separates the number of slaves from various places or indigenous nations and estimates that from 1670 to 1715, there were between 24,000 and 51,000 natives enslaved in the entire South. You see that? Now, why didn't we learn about this in Esau's so-called scholastic school systems? The same reason why they in the same slave the same uh, slave institutions for children they call scholastic school systems. They taught us that Christopher Columbus discovered America, which is a blatant, flat out lie. Okay, because the indigenous people in the northern kingdom of Israel were here first, man. So how the fuck can you discover something that was already inhabited by ancient people that were already here for thousands upon thousands of years? Okay, and also going over here to this next article. This is on BET.com. It says not just Tulsa race massacres that devastated black communities, Southern Kingdom, and Rosewood, Atlanta, and other American cities. There is a long history of white terrorism, Edomite terrorism, destroying black communities. It goes into a timeline, including the Red Summer Massacre, otherwise known as the Tulsa, Oklahoma race massacre. Okay, where they destroyed Black Wall Street. Okay, because we were coming up as a civilization, economically speaking. Esau feared the uprise of the Southern Kingdom, so-called blacks. See, case in point. And this is around a time, where this situation happened, within the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. All right, where a 17-year-old a Sheetamite girl, accused a so-called black teenager of assault in downtown Tulsa and white terrorism ensued. So the race riot broke out. And of course, you had the destruction of Black Wall Street 4 years later in 1921 that I was speaking about. Then you had the Colfax, Louisiana massacre, 1873. You can read about here. Okay, the Wilmington, North Carolina massacre, 1898. You can also read about here in this article. Okay, the Atlanta massacre in 1906. Okay, the Elaine, Arkansas massacre in 1919. The Rosewood, Florida massacre of 1923. See, and that's the massacre I was also referring to. Rosewood. That's a separate act of atrocity. Of atrocities committed against our people. All of secular history of the bloodshed. The constant bloodshed of our people. Okay, who established their land through egregious and grueling slave labor, through the cotton fields, sugar fields, and tobacco fields. It's like they're making these so-called indigenous people, engage in grueling and egregious slave labor in the sugar fields, man, and the tobacco fields. So you enslaved with the so-called blacks. For all you so-called indigenous people to think you're better than us, especially you so-called Hispanics, man. Because now you're starting to get your nigga wake up call, so to say, more so now than ever before. Like down in Arizona, they got immigration laws over there, where if you look like a so-called Hispanic, they can legally pull you over and demand your paperwork, man. Because that's a further fulfillment of Baruch 3 and 8. Now we're subject to payments to these devils, these Edomites, man. Okay, given over to a base man, the stranger, in Deuteronomy 28 and 43. Okay. So this land was established off the blood of the saints, just like Jill Scott was singing about. Because these people are watching the prophets, man. They might not verbally admit that, but how they carry themselves and how they express themselves is influenced by the true song of the world, pursuing Revelation 14 chapter and so forth. And that's the song of this word. Okay. Otherwise known as a quote unquote Mosaic law, the word, the gospel. Okay. The so-called Mosaic law of the gospel. I'm dealing with, the Tawara, the Torah. Okay. Of the gospel. The good news for Israel that we have, we have retribution coming for us, okay, as a recompense for the atrocities these devils have committed against the saints that they thought they got away with, okay, because we were enslaved together, man, not just so-called blacks, but also so-called indigenous. That's why in his book, The Indian Slave Trade by Alan Gallay, there's an excerpt in here, or passage that speaks about the Royal Anna slave ship in 1715 that consisted of so-called Negroes and Latinos simultaneously on that slave ship. Okay, and that's why in the 15th century, in the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade, you so-called indigenous, including so-called Hispanics, were being transported to Europe. That's why New Mexico was coined New Spain. And that's why you so-called Hispanics have adopted the Spanish culture of these Edomites, including the baracas, the shaking of the baracas, and the wearing of the sombreros. That's Esau's culture, man. That has nothing to do with you. Because we were conquered by this devil, like it's prophesied in Deuteronomy 28, verses 48 to 50. To seek refuge on this devil in want of all things, whether it be food, water, raiment, medical supplies, so forth. We have to go to this devil. See? So we speak out against their wickedness. What a problem. That's hypocrisy. And like it says in Joel 15th chapter, the tabernacle of bribery and the house of hypocrisy is going to perish, roughly paraphrasing. And that's you Edomites, the house of the proud. Okay, because America is a sinking ship, Babylon the Great. Because war, okay, is intended to a bloody city, a bloody land established off of bloodshed. So by violence she was established, and by violence she will fall, like it's prophesied in Revelation 18th chapter, but wait, this last world's war. Okay, a hot war, a thermonuclear destruction, radiation, prophesied in Isaiah 9 and 5, Isaiah 24th chapter, Revelation the 18th chapter, and so forth. Okay, for the blood of you devils to be shed, for shedding our blood. So this is Jeremiah 22 and 13. And it reads, woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that useth his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. See, you built this house of America, Babylon the Great, by unrighteousness, man. Okay, through the wages of your neighbors. Okay, all right, using the wages of your neighbors, not giving to him for his work. And that's wicked, because in the Torah, it speaks about the law of paying an individual after a hard day's work. So by the end of that day, you're supposed to pay what you owe, not pay them a week or 2 weeks or even a month out. That's wicked as fuck, man. That's defrauding your neighbor. What does it say in Deuteronomy 19:14? Thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark. And you devils did that by stealing America from the Northern Kingdom, man. And before that, stealing Jerusalem from our people, the southern and northern kingdom, in 70 A.D. Even before that, in the time of King Herod, where you essentially made Jerusalem a Roman province, man. So you devils have a lot to pay for. Okay, afflicting the children of Israel, the Most High chosen. This is Ezekiel 35. Ezekiel 35 and 5. And it reads, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of the children of Yashar'Allah, Israel, by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Salah, verse 6. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord God Yahweh, I will prepare thee into blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Said thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. See? Who's going to pursue your blood? Ultimately, Yahweh, by Shem Yashah and the angels, and 144,000 elect governing body of the house of David. But before that, the terror of the nations, prophesied in Ezekiel, the 28th chapter, which is going to be what? It consists of who? Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, Saudi Arabia, and so forth. They're going to tear you devils a new one, man. See that? Because it's over for you. Okay? Whether you like it, understand it, believe it, accept it or not, you're done. So this is jumping down to verse 10. And it reads, because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord Yahweh was there. Now, what are these two nations and two countries talking about? All right, the two kingdoms of Israel, the southern kingdom of the so-called blacks and the northern kingdom of the so-called indigenous, that you declare to be yours, to possess it, to possess these two kingdoms. Whereas the Lord Yahweh is there because because it's the eyes of the Lord Yahweh by Shemeshai 10,000 times brighter than the sun. He sees everything. So you devils thought you were going to get over it, but you're not going to get over it, man. Verse 11. Therefore, as I live, to the Lord God Yahweh, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. That's exactly what Yahweh by Shemeshai is going to do to you Edomites, man. Shed your blood. Verse 12. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord Yahweh, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies, which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Yash'ali, Israel, saying, they are laid desolate. They are given us to consume. See? That's why, Esau would say, oh, well, get over it. Get over slavery. That happened a long time ago. Because they psychologically want us to still conform to the idea that we belong to them. And that could be any Edomite, not just, an upper echelon. It could be a lower luminary or a lower Edomite. Because they don't respect us, man. Because they don't fear us. Because of what their ancestors did to our ancestors. So by default, they believe because of that they're superior to us. Predicated off what? Edomite supremacy. Okay? Through manifest destiny and racial purity. Okay? And what's the other one? Critical race theory and so forth. They're looking at to control the narrative of the information of the secular history of the oppression, affliction, okay, atrociously by their ancestors against our ancestors, because we are ancestors in the reincarnation, which further confirms you devils will have to pay this tab. That's why in Revelation, first chapter, prophesies how you Edomites have shed Yahushua's blood. You're going to have to pay for that, and the bloodshed of his people. See? So what Jill Scott was singing about was justified, man. Okay? This is jumping down to verse 15, the same chapter. It says, as thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Yash'Allah, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea. Idumea Greek for Edom, meaning red, you red devils, you Edomites. We didn't start calling yourselves white until the 16th to 17th century, rather. So it says, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord, Yahweh. You shall know who your maker is, pursuant to Jeremiah 16 and 21. Okay? You're gonna be reminded of the terrible reputation of Allah Shaja, Abanawi Yahweh. Okay, for what he does to you, what he get ready to do to you, devils. Jeremiah 50 and 7 says, all that found them devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, Yahweh. When in that case, it would say the Lord. The habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. So in your mind, we went against our habitation of justice. So you devils are justified in your mind of keeping us enslaved, as if to say, what's your God going to do? He put you in captivity in our hands. So obviously he wanted that. Yeah, you goddamn devils, but he wanted that for not because because he wanted to reward you of us, but to punish us, to show us a lesson, teach us a lesson rather, that he can even set the basis of all men over us. That once brayed like a donkey, like you speaking into unintelligible speech. That's why you devils are known as Caucasians, because you dwelt in the Caucasus Mountains. Okay, because you're cave people, man. You're the basis of all men, vile and profane. That's why you're brutish beasts within your satanic council. Okay, of instituting all legislations and executive orders and moral decrees and policies contrary to a righteous instruction. Like this whole alphabet coalition, where a man can be a woman and vice versa. Okay, a child can indulge in sexual illicit activities before puberty. People can indulge in bestiality. See, down in Oregon, they legalized drugs in a minor sense, including meth, heroin, the hardcore stuff as well, not just marijuana. Because this place is a complete darkness, being that it's out of order. See? Because you devils are ruling, man. Like it says in Proverbs 29 chapter. This is Psalm 5 and 6. Psalm chapter 5, verse 6. And it reads, Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord Yahweh will abhor the bloody and deceitful man, meaning he will abominate you. He will make you abominable. Okay? Ultimately by destroying your ass. Okay? So look up this word leasing. In the Strongs here. Okay? This is Psalm 5 and 6. All right, this is the Strongs here. This is H3577 for leasing. And it's the Hebrew word kasab, or slake, kwasab. Hebrew word kwasab, which means a lie, okay, untruth, falsehood, deception, or deceptive thing. See? So going back here, that's what leasing means. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing, untruths, lies. Like so-called blacks and indigenous people should get over it. How they were never really slaves; they were indentured slavery. So, which one is it, Esau? Is it get over slavery, or that slavery never happened by suggestions that we were indentured slaves by removing the history, secular history of slavery, our slavery, from these textbooks? It further reveals you as a forger of all lies, and you will pay. Psalm 5 and 6. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord Yahweh will abhor the bloody deceitful man for shedding the blood of Israel. Like I said in Ezekiel 35th chapter. This is Psalm 55 and 23. Because we do all kinds of atrocities to our people. I know that's why Christopher Columbus was known to never put his sword down. There was a passage I was reading. It might have been in Lost Tribes and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders, where it basically said how Christopher Columbus was shedding some of the blood of it. There's an account in that book, I believe, where he shed a family of so-called indigenous people because he believed them to be possessed by devils. You devils have the fucking audacity, man. Then when you read the American Hola, you know what? Okay. In the American Indies, or the destruction of the American Indies, it goes down. These devils were afflicting our men, women, and children, like hanging so-called indigenous, pregnant indigenous women up down, feeding their canines of the faces of our pregnant women hung upside down while cutting the fetus out of their stomachs, man. Then you would burn us at the stake. You just like Montezuma, the so-called Aztec king. I believe it was Montezuma. They're so-called Aztecs, but mainly him, I believe, in the 16th century. Tying him to a stake and burning them. That's the reward you gave him after willingly giving you devils his resources, including his gold and so forth. Then you rewarded yourselves, as the devils you are, through our people, as booty, spoils of war. Then you would put us in the front line to fight your wars, and then have the audacity to persecute us, man. Okay, through your racial epithets and oppression, making the so-called black soldiers sit in the back of the bus. But you had no problem putting us on the front line, though, right? And then the Battle of Wounded Knee, all these secular events of bloodshed of our people. The Trail of Tears, but composed by that damn devil Andrew Jackson, or in the era of Andrew Jackson, the Indian killer, rather. You made so-called indigenous people walk miles upon miles, mainly barefoot, to where we just died by by way of malnourishment and severe weather conditions. Bringing ailments. Then the Battle of Wounded Knee, that was the biggest shooting in American history in the 19th century, shedding the blood of so-called Native American children by what? You guessed it, broken promises, man. Because that was a covenant breakers, like it speaks about in Psalm 50, the 50, in the same chapter actually, in the 20th verse. That was a covenant breakers, truth breakers. That's why he broke every single treaty with so-called indigenous people in the Northern Kingdom, man. So by these broken promises, you lured the so-called Native American Indian children out of hiding and slaughtered them all, man. You have the audacity to say, forgive and forget. Fuck you, man. You're going to pay for this shit. So what Jill Scott was singing about was spot on. Now, like me and the brother Mawath post-camp was talking about this, and how she was actually nice, so to say. She was kind of like politically correct about it because she didn't mention Babylon. She didn't mention Esau. Now, we just tell you devils to you. We tell you devils to your face out there. See, this is why we are the true reporters, the true watchmen of the Lord, Yahweh by Shem Shai. Rebuking you devils to your face, like it's in Amos 5 and in Wisdom of Solomon 5th chapter, that you're going to pay for all you've done to us by your blood. The only acceptable reparations is your blood, not millions upon billions upon trillions of dollars. Nah, that's not good enough. This is Isaiah 63 and 1. It says, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou, Slakia? Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? And why is Yahushua's garment going to be red in apparel? Because it's going to further reveal that. Well, why that is. Verse 3. This is Isaiah 63 and 3. I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I would tread them in mine anger, Slakia, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. So she's gonna stain his garment in the blood of you modern day inhabitants of Basra, you Edomites, so-called white people, mainly within your 6 branches of your American military and all the Edomite comrades that stands with you in this last world's war against your adversaries, and including Yahushua Hamashiach and the Alahayim and the 144,000. Isaiah 63 and 4. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. And that's very soon. It's coming soon, man. It could very well be next year if we make it out of this year. Adam Ratazah. So that way we don't have to be here for very much longer. But we know either way, we don't have very much longer in his kingdom of you damn devils because you're being exposed. That's why everyone's coming against you, not just us. The people you really should worry about, it's mainly the prophets of Israel. But these other people in the world, these people in the world rather. Okay, that's why Ethiopia just submitted their application and joined BRICS, a further fulfillment of the prophecy in Ezekiel 38th chapter, man. How these Hamites will join Russia and seek refuge in Russia because these nations understand that you dealt with the disease of the earth, mainly American Edomites, and you're being exposed before you'll be destroyed. Okay, so I'm gonna end it off on that. And pray this lesson was further edifying and exhorting to the elect. And give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who is the God of the living, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Habashah, Kodash. Bless me to spirit of this video, which prays further edifying and exhorting to the elect. And with that, I bought the ball DTA soon, very soon. Leave us off the curse against Esau and Babylon and the wicked. May Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Habashah, Kodash, Babakashah, Shalak, Sawapa, Il, Adawamium, Wa, Haragim, Wa Mashapadium, Wa, Slake Al, Kal, Babylon, Wa, Gawadi, Wa, Bibinawa, Babakasha, the Wada Timiya Tawab, Aman. All right, and with that, shalom to elect. On to the next one.